pals of the internet. My name is Adriana, and today I'm here to do a book review for the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, aka the latest love of my life. This is a reimagining or retelling of the Iliad, which was written allegedly by Homer. And before I give you a synopsis of this book, let me just disclaim that you do not necessarily need to have read the Iliad before reading this book in order to enjoy it, but I will talk more about that later. For now, let's get into what this book is about. If you are one of those people who have not, in fact, read the Iliad is an epic look at the Trojan War. Why the Trojan War actually started has been heavily disputed, but a lot of people believe that it started with the kidnapping of Helen. Helen is basically the most beautiful girl in the world. Helen is married to a man named Menelaus, but she is stolen away, or she flees the kingdom with a Trojan prince named Paris. And obviously that causes an uproar with Menelaus and all of the men who have pledged their fealty to him, and they march on Troy and start this epic war that doesn't end for like a decade, 15 years, longer than that. All you really need to know is that one of the biggest heroes slash key players in the Trojan War on the Greek slash Myrmidon side is Achilles. Achilles is one of the most legendary, renowned, powerful warriors that ever lived, and he's half god, which really does not hurt. So this book specifically focuses on Achilles' role in the Trojan War, but even more specifically, it's told from the point of view of his best and closest friend Patroclus. And this novel really reforges their bond and redefines how close they are and what their relationship is and how much they influence one another. And obviously all of this is leading up to the Trojan War and Patroclus and Achilles' involvement in that. But all you need to know is yes. Before I go any further, I will disclaim that this book does contain mild gore slash violence, but if you've read the Iliad, you know that's par for the course because that is the epitome of a war tome. And this book also has sexual content, but again, if you are familiar with any Greek slash Roman mythology or any mythology ever, sexual content is again very normal for mythology. Mythology is probably one of my favorite subjects, and I loved reading the Iliad, so when I heard that this was a thing, I knew I had to read it. And let me just say, this book is exquisite. It's outstanding. And that's like if you didn't even like the story, just the writing style and the description is so beautiful. The emotional content of this book is so strong. And I think that's a credit to how wonderful the voice and the perspective of Patroclus really is. Because if you happen to be familiar with the Iliad or really any kind of epic mythology, then you'll know that the voice and the perspective of those stories is very distant. Especially in stories like the Iliad, there is no one protagonist, there is no one person who is telling the story themselves, and you get to see what everybody is doing, and it really doesn't focus on what anybody's feeling. But as I've already mentioned multiple times, this story is told from Patroclus's point of view, and furthermore, it's told in first person past tense, which is extremely unique for mythology stories. Because if you are familiar with any kind of mythology, then you already know that you will probably never hear a myth that's told in first person perspective. And I think that's mostly due to the fact that a lot of myths were passed down by oral tradition, but that's a whole nother story. So I would definitely say that the Song of Achilles displays an extremely personal take on the Trojan War. It really allows you to empathize with Patroclus and to know exactly what he's feeling and to see the extent of his sorrow and his happiness. And that really helps you invest in the characters in this story in a way that I don't think that the original myth could ever really accomplish. But like I said, I definitely don't think that you need an intimate knowledge of the Iliad to enjoy this book for what it is, because it is amazing. And you would think that a familiarity with the Iliad would ruin this book or make it less exciting because you know what's going to happen, but this book really does a fantastic job of showing the story in a completely new way, and it makes it even more dramatic if you already know what's going to happen. The results are always going to be the same, but the way this story gets there is so completely different from the original myth. So there's that constant sense of tension because you don't know how these things that you know have to happen are going to happen. So just to reiterate again, you really don't need to have read the Iliad before you read this book, but I just think that makes it even more intense. But basically, this novel takes the Iliad and its characters to new heights and new places, and it really gives it an entirely new life. I think this book is absolutely incredible because it provides a fresh and interesting take on the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus, and it really allows you to get to know them and to get to know how they started and the roots of their relationship. And it also helps you understand just how deep those bonds really go. It really just gives a new, unique, fresh look at an ancient text, which is an amazing feat for an author to accomplish. And this book really does give a new perspective to people who are fans of the Iliad already, which I just think is amazing. If I had to summarize my experience with this book in one word, it would either be devastating or perfection. And in case my gushing wasn't obvious enough for you, I ended up giving the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller 5 out of 5 fantastic stars. Essentially, that's everything that I had to say about this book. If you have read it, please talk about it with me in the comments down below. And please tell me if you know about any more amazing mythological retellings because I need them. But that is indeed all that I had for this review video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I will catch you on the flip side of the page. Bye. I just want to die and be buried with this book. Is that extreme? I don't think so.